Hello, hello, this is Marcus with the Wesleyville Borough, and I am out here today on Euclid Boulevard. I got a couple big updates for you and kind of a look at the future. But before I get started with that, let me just say there's been a little bit of a hiatus. I haven't done many of these updates in the last month or two. That's because there's a lot of projects in the works, but you'll be seeing more soon. We have a lot of exciting infrastructure projects going on in the borough this year. Just to name a few, we got Buffalo Road work going on, we got traffic light work going on, we got resurfacing, we got seal coating. You're going to be seeing a lot, and I'll be putting out those videos soon. However, Euclid, as many of you know, deserves a video all on its own. So let's get started talking about that. So first and foremost, sorry to the residents and sorry to the public. We recognize this is in really bad shape. We're not happy with this, quite frankly. Just to give you an idea, first off, Euclid has been bad for a long time. It's at least a 60-year-old road, and considering that it is concrete, concrete is once concrete goes, it's very difficult and expensive to repair or to replace. Really, the only option you have is to completely rip it out and start fresh from a new road. In 2026, that's very expensive. That being said, last year, as you know, we did do road work on Euclid, this section between Station Road and Willow, and obviously it, in a sense, made it a lot worse. But the reasoning for that, we got $125,000 in a grant from the county, and then we put in about another $125,000 of local sewer funds. So we invested about $250,000 into the sewer underneath of this road. Brand new sewer for this one block, $250,000. And when we were repairing the road after, and I'll take credit for this, this was something that I suggested, I said, you know, I'm responsible in a sense. When we were putting the road back, the plan was that we were going to put asphalt patches in. However, it's really hard to justify. We have a lot of bad roads, we have a lot of bad asphalt. It's really hard to justify putting down asphalt patches. Maybe it would have been really smooth, but then 1 year later, we would have ripped it all out again and started from scratch. So instead, I asked the engineer, is it at all possible to do anything other than brand new asphalt that we're just going to rip back out? And the response at that time was, yes, we can do 2 inches of concrete instead. And that 2 inches of concrete should have worked. And actually, there's an aspect of Station Road right here. There's an area of Euclid right by Station where it did work. And you can see we actually ended up leaving the concrete here. It might be hard to see on camera, but I encourage you to come drive. This is what we were trying to do. 2 inches of concrete, it got all cracked up, but it was solid. It was solid, it can hold the weight, and we figured it's much cheaper, and then next year we're gonna rip it all out anyways. But we have big problems underground. As many people know who live in this area, there's definitely a lot of groundwater at work here. So along this stretch of the road, you know, from this all the way over to Willow, the roadway underneath is very wet. So what happened was the gravel underground there got saturated with water, and then the concrete that was sitting on top gets weakened. So for some reason or another, this area here, I guess there's not as much groundwater, or one reason or another, the concrete worked. But on that section there, unfortunately, most of the road, the concrete collapsed, as many of you remember, and we had to come back in, and at that point, all we could do is put gravel. So unfortunately, that's why we've been living with gravel. And I apologize to the people on the road for that. We were trying to save money, because it's just hard to justify putting down new asphalt for 1 year and then ripping it all right back out. So that's that. Now that was last year, and the money we had last year from, you know, it was a county grant, county gap, for the sewer. Ideally, you want to do sewer work the same year as you do road work. However, in this circumstance, we got money from the county that had to be spent in 2025, and then we got money from PennDOT for the road that couldn't be spent until 2026. So we were in a situation where either we turned down some money or we do what we did, and we had to do sewer work 1 year and road work another. So we apologize for the inconvenience there and for everybody who had to live through a tough winter, certainly. And I can assure you, we thought a lot about this road, and it kept us up all winter. I can tell you that. You know, even when there was silence, we were thinking about this every single day. Now, in terms of the 2026 construction season, I am happy to report we do have a grant, $530,000 from a PennDOT local federal aid route program that is going to fully cover, or it should fully cover. We'll see the bid results once they come in. Fully cover the cost of completely ripping out this road, redoing the curbs, and then building up a new road completely from scratch. So that's very exciting that that's going to be happening this year. Where do we stand today? Well, just on May 14th, our engineer finalized the plans for this, and we submitted them to PennDOT. Now we're going to the final review of PennDOT, and then that should be able to be, breezed through. We'll take it out to bid, we'll select the contractor, and then there's a couple other things built in there that unfortunately will take time, but we are certainly working on this. Now, you can go to wesleyville.gov/Euclid, wesleyville.gov/Euclid, and you can hear all this information, or you can read all the information, as well as there are plans online that you can review in detail. The engineer's plans, you can zoom in on it, you can take a look at it if you're interested, and I would encourage you to do so. A couple safety considerations that we had with this road. Right now, because of how bad the road is this moment, but certainly has been for the last several decades, it kind of serves as speed bumps, and it has kept speeds of vehicles, it has kept the speeds low. However, if we put a brand new, fresh road in here, this will become a speedway. It's a straight line, straight shot from Station all the way to Bird. People will fly. So we figured that was just untenable. We can't do it. Instead, what we figured is, instead of a 32-foot wide road, reduce it to 28 feet. That 4 feet, statistically speaking, speaking from research, does really translate into a safety benefit for our residents and certainly for the people living here. We don't want this to be a racetrack, so making it narrower, research shows that helps. Also, making it narrower makes it easier to replace in the future, 20 years or 25 years from now, when it needs to be replaced once again. So actually reducing by 4 feet from 32 feet to 28 feet reduces it by 12.5%. That's a big cost savings. So there's something to be said about that. Also, and you'll see on the final design plans, this might be hard to visualize, but at the Euclid and Willow Street intersection, we're going to be installing curb bump outs, it's called. So those are little bump outs that will make it so that pedestrians have less of a distance that they have to cross. And once again, research shows curb bump outs make people slow down. You're not going to have people pull up to the stop sign, roll through, keep on going. You're going to have vehicles inherently slow down and wait for the pedestrians, and it's just a lot safer. So we're trying something new here, the first time in the borough. We're going to try to install these curb bump outs and see how we like it. And an example of this that you, for reference, might want to check out is actually Parade Street in the city of Erie between 6th and Front Street. They did that. They had a bunch of curb bump outs for that very reason. And that's been like that for, I believe, 12 years, maybe 14. One thing to be said about that, however, reducing it from 32 to 28 means that there's actually only going to be parking available on one side. That's just the reality of it, unfortunately. There's just not enough space for parking on both, according to PennDOT's requirements. Now, historically speaking, in terms of usage, and as you can see here today, there's really not much being parked on either side. So we at the borough felt like it was reasonable to potentially limit it. Also, there are many other roads in the borough where that is commonplace, where you can only park on one side if you can park on the road at all. Some, like Station or Water Street, you can't park on the road. But in this case, you will still be able to park on the road. It'll just be on one side. Something to note as well, as many people who live here already know, during the winter, we have even odd parking that is already in effect up here. So that is something that they've already experienced, that back and forth. in terms of this area, because there's driveways, for the most part, most people have off-street parking options available. Also, the parcel sizes are larger, so actually the area of curb in front of their house is larger than on other streets parallel, for example, like on Woodlawn, where you have house, 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 and maybe parking could get jammed up a lot more. We felt like here, there is space available on people's private properties, and one side should be sufficient. So that's that. In terms of the timeline now, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but actually next steps, we still have to go through the bidding process, contractor selection, and then there's a couple other requirements that are associated with the funding that we have available. So it looks like late August. I hate to say it. It looks like late August. Now, let me note, we will be having the contractor who did the work here for the sewer. They kind of had to rush it at the end because of winter, but we will be having them come back and do a little bit of work, you know, restoration work and putting some new soil down and whatnot earlier in the summer. So you hopefully at least the yards will look a little bit better through the summer, but unfortunately the road isn't going to be started to be worked on until probably late August. That said, there remains a possibility that work could begin sooner. However, there's a couple additional coordination and approvals that will be necessary. When the appropriate time comes, I'm going to need you all. When the appropriate time comes, community support and advocacy may help to encourage an accelerated timeline. We're going to have to petition. We're going to have to get everybody kind of yelling and screaming in unison to get this stuff done because of how dire and important this is and really the emergency state that this is in. But at this moment, unfortunately, I don't have anything that I can report on that front. Trust me, we're thinking about it. I don't like the end of August, and we're working on it to make it sooner. Working every day to make it sooner. So more information to you on that. I do encourage everybody along this road and in the community in general, sign up for the borough's notification system. You can go to wesleyville.gov/notifications. You can sign up for Savvy Citizen, completely free. You can get texts, emails, or an app on your phone, and that's going to be the best way to keep up to date on these types of projects. In terms of public comments, we do want to hear from you. So at the next council meeting on May 27th at 6 p.m. at the Borough Hall, there will be a dedicated time on the agenda to hear from you about this project. So hopefully you get a chance to review the plans, and then you can come in and you can speak your mind. We'd love to hear it. If you cannot attend the meeting, or just in general, you want to share your thoughts sooner, that's great. Feel free to email me directly at manager@wesleyville.gov. Again, manager@wesleyville.gov. I would love to hear from you. Also, once again, let me just repeat, wesleyville.gov/Euclid, and you can get all this information conveniently on a webpage for you. And wesleyville.gov/Euclid, you can see the plans. Let me just say, for people who are asking, well, what about after Willow Street? What's the next? I'm happy to report we do have $250,000 secured from the local share account program through the state of PA. We also have another $500,000 that was secured through the Pennsylvania DCED multimodal program. And then we are in the process of securing additional funding in the amount of approximately $500,000 through a federal USDA program for sewer line replacement. So going from Willow all the way to Bird, it costs a lot of money, and the sewer needs to be done over there just like it was done here. So, and we don't want to do it like here where we do funding in different years, or we don't want to do sewer in a different year than the road. Obviously, we learned our lesson. So we have a $750,000 secured. Even that's not enough. We're working on it, and if all goes well, at this point we play our cards right, it looks like we can be doing that construction in the year 2027. Construction season 2027. So fingers crossed on that. Once again, for more information, go to wesleyville.gov/Euclid. Or if you have thoughts, you want to email me, feel free to email me at manager@wesleyville.gov. And then if you want to come speak to the entire council about this, come on May 27th at 6 p.m. right at the Borough Hall. We want to hear from you. Thank you.